It was 2009. I still had a thing for Honda VFRs, and I was looking for a new bike or another bike, and I only had about £2,500 to spend. I found a VFR 800 for sale in Wiltshire. I went to see it and it looked nice in the garage, but obviously I needed a test ride, so I asked the owner if I could take it for a test ride, and he declined. He said, "No, I won't do that, but I will get my son to take you for a spin with you on the pillion." So I agreed to that. You can almost see what's coming, can't you? So I agreed to that. The son took me around while I was on the back of the bike, and I enjoyed it. Felt good to me. We arranged a deal, and I bought the bike. And I think I paid about £2,300 for it. I had to go away, then come back with my mate to pick it up. Once I came back and collected the bike and rode it away, it was soon obvious to me why the owner didn't let me ride it first time round. Basically because it wouldn't hold a straight line. It kept drifting to the right. Now, at that point, because I noticed this while I was riding home after buying the bike, I should have took it back. Should have took it back to him and got a refund, but no, I didn't, because I'm impatient. I had a bike. I had a new bike. I was back on the road, and I really liked the VFR. It was looking great in black, and yeah, I pretty quickly convinced myself that whatever the problem is, I can get it sorted. Probably just twisted forks in the yokes. I'm sure I could sort it out. That's what I said to myself. Well, I never did. I never did sort it out. I just kept riding it as it was. Luckily, it didn't fall apart and kill me. I am an idiot. I can admit now that part of the reason I was interested in this model VFR800 is because I'd seen on the internet another VFR800 in the States, and someone had plumbed in a Rotrex supercharger to it, and that really floated my boat. I really liked the idea of getting this bike, adding that Rotrex supercharger to it, and yeah, going really quickly. Bit of a sleeper bike, a Q bike, although it would have had a big old supercharger, I think, hanging out one side of the fairing. So that was in the back of my mind when I bought this bike, but it never even got close to happening. Let's be honest with you. Yeah, never did. But this was the bike that I started to do longer rides on. And by that, I mean basically going into Wales from where I am in Gloucester, further out than what I'd done before. Before this bike, I've probably never ridden further than maybe 100 miles away from my house in a day. I was all about going for shorter rides, having a laugh, then coming back home. Never really wanted to plan a ride, go on a journey or a proper trip anywhere. But this bike got me into the idea of going for longer rides because it was comfortable. And it was a nice machine to ride when it wasn't pulling right slightly. So I thought that this could be all the bike I ever needed. Is a VFR. Went well enough for me. I was happy. That is until I rode my best mate's recent purchase, being a 2003 Yamaha R1. I had a go on that, and from that point on, the VFR was ruined. Ruined for me. Suddenly it felt too heavy and too slow, and couldn't shake that feeling. So within 4 months of buying this bike, it had gone. I'd sold it. The people who came to buy it, I did allow them a test ride. They commented on the fact that it steered to the right a bit. I said, yes, it does. I never managed to sort it out. They bought it anyway. In the meantime, I had managed to find another bike for sale. The bike I managed to find for sale was a 1999 Yamaha YZF R1. And oh my God, what a bike. I thought I had a big boy bike with the VFR, but this was another level in terms of handling and obviously performance. It blew the VFR into the weeds. Unfortunately, not in comfort. That was a downside. Anyway, I got this bike. Truth be told, it might look nice in the pictures, but it was a bit of a dog. Bits of scabby alloy and a few scratches. It didn't seem like it had gone down from what I could tell. All seemed pretty straight, and it steered straight, which was nice after the VFR. The engine was strong. It kept up with my mate's 2003 model pretty much everywhere. Just in terms of bottle is where I kind of came up short. But yeah, it was a very, very nice bike to ride, performance-wise and handling-wise. Felt incredibly quick when you gave it a lot of revs. And second and third gear wheelies off little crests in the road were lots of fun and happened quite a lot. But ultimately, I couldn't get on with the riding position. Too much weight on my wrists. I didn't like not having my back relatively straight. I didn't like the racing riding position. But I was skint, as usual. I couldn't afford any aftermarket handlebars, so the first thing I tried doing was to take off the existing clip-ons, turn them upside down, and then swap them onto the opposite forks. Yes, I literally turned my clip-ons upside down. It was a crap idea. The angle of the bar tubes were not right, but I sat a bit more upright, and that's what I was looking for. So it didn't cost me money, it only cost me time, and it gave me the impetus to save up and eventually get some proper heli bars. They helped, but it still wasn't enough. So the heli bars were enough to allow me to ride the bike from St. Malo in France over to Barcelona for the 2011 MotoGP. The trip was fantastic, although the first day we did 450 miles, and that pretty much destroyed me. But we had a great time, me and my mate, on the other R1. Ultimately, the riding position got the better of me. It got to the point where I was thinking about doing a Street Fighter job on the bike, going for straight bars, and I thought, well, I didn't really want to do it to the bike. I didn't want to wreck the bike like that, wreck the fairing or remove the fairing. The other option would be to trim back the top of the fairing to get straight bars to fit, and I just didn't want to compromise the bike like that. It's just not designed to be like that. And I'm sure there'll be lots of little things I'd have to do to the bike to make it all fit together, like extended lines, mess about with the wiring and whatnot. So in the end, I decided, no, the bike wasn't for me, although I did have a great time on it for 3 years. Plus, I needed to slow down because I was having way too much fun on this bike, and at some point, my luck was going to run out. So I decided to trade it in. In September 2012, I traded in the Yamaha R1. I was actually looking quite seriously at a Suzuki GSR 750 because Suzuki was doing a 0% finance promotion on several bikes in their range, and the local bike shop, Fraser's of Gloucester, held an open day. So I actually rode several bikes that day, including a 1250 Bandit, which I thought was a bit heavy and slow at the time. And I'd ridden the GSR, and bearing in mind that I was trying to slow myself down a bit, I thought the GSR would be a good option. Unfortunately, Fraser's couldn't get hold of a black model, only white and red, and I really wanted the black model. So it wasn't going to happen, and none of the other Suzukis really on offer didn't appeal. But as I was walking around the bike showroom with my boss, he pointed out another bike that was for sale. And that was this Yamaha FZ8 Phaser. New model, no miles. And it was a good looking bike. But it hadn't come up on my radar because I was just focused on the Suzuki and its 0% finance deal. Well, it turned out that this Yamaha was also on a 0% finance deal. And that certainly got my interest. To be honest with you, I thought it was a better looking bike than a Suzuki too. After a quick test ride and a bit of a think, I decided to go for it and bought this on a 3-year 0% finance deal and they gave me 1,500 quid against my R1, which is not too bad on a scabby old R1. While sorting out the finance deal, the bike shop told me that I could actually add up to £2,000 on top of the finance arrangement for accessories. You know, just in case I needed clothing, helmets and whatnot. I bought a full Arrow exhaust system and it sounded fit. It did sound very nice. I also had a Scott order fitted at the time. Eventually, the bike also had a power commander fitted, O2 sensor eliminator, pair valve block off plates. I'm not sure what else. K&N filter, and it was dynoed at 106 horsepower by Tim Radley at Race Developments in Gloucester. So I was sold on the looks, liked the looks, liked the handling, although I think the front forks were unadjustable. It still handled well enough. Loved the riding position. After the R1, it was just the riding position I needed. I was really happy with how I was sat on the bike. The only little problem was the bike felt a bit flat performance-wise after the R1. Felt a little tame. There wasn't much excitement there. You revved it out and the revs just kept rising. You kept going faster, but not a lot of drama in the bike. So overall, I'm not so sure whether this was actually a good purchase. Maybe I made a mistake. I'm not sure. You could say that I could have got the Phaser 1000 instead of this bike. But A, the Phaser 1000 was a good bit more expensive than this machine. And I don't think it was available on 0% finance at the time. And also, I was actually trying to slow myself down after the R1. And so at the time, it felt like a good idea. What I realised ultimately was, yes, I wanted to go slower. I didn't want to go as fast as I did on the R1, but I missed torque. The FZ8 didn't have a lot of torque about it. So I needed to kind of move sideways into something that was gruntier, but not an awful lot faster. That was my thinking. In any case, September 2015, I decided I needed to sell the bike because I needed some extra funds in order to buy a house.